All right, so look, this is probably a bittersweet moment for all of you watching. A lot of you have actually been coming up to me in the street saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe the podcast is going away." It was almost like, you got bad STD results. But look, it is what it
Oh
is.
my God.
We've all been there.
No.
This is, you've had an STD. You ever had an STD?
Never.
Okay, well, let me do the intro. This is Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored with Jason Lee, and Damage and Blue are here. And this is the final episode. We've been doing this show for about 6 years. 6 years now this show's been going on. I always joke and say it's the Destiny's Child of podcast because, it's as the seat turns. But it's so crazy that the show is ending now. It's not crazy, but it's unfortunate that the show is ending now because this is like when I've enjoyed the show the most. I feel like with both of you, we've had diversity. We have a real straight guy on the show. We have somebody that's actually really smart and doesn't play it. But we all bring our own different things to the table, and we actually like each other, and that I think is the most amazing thing. And when I was doing press and talking about the show before, and then like thinking about kind of how I wanted to evolve as a brand outside of Hollywood Unlocked, because really this ending of the show is not about this not working, because we're gonna work together at some point again. It was more about like, how does Jason Lee evolve past Hollywood Unlocked? How does Jason Lee build his own brand and continue to evolve in the space of talk, and just all the different opportunities that have been coming. And then also, I feel like we've done everything we can do with the show. I just feel like we weren't the show wasn't gonna grow anymore because we've done it. Yes, we could have done a live tour. Yes, we could have done
we can still do a live tour.
Live tour.
Yeah,
Live tour.
coming soon at some point.
It might be the Fail World Tour, but we could, I don't know.
The Last Dance.
I don't know, I just felt like just the evolution of Jason Lee and where I was at was just, I needed to do something new. And so, I decided that this was it. But I think the hardest part was, ending this. And Damage called the other day, and, I see DJ Damage, I'm like, oh shit, because he don't really call me, hello? And he's like, well, I just want to say, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be emotional. What's up, nigga? But no, I just want to thank both of you before we get into it, just with your commitment, your loyalty, your drive, and especially like you coming in at a time where the shit was literally turbulent. You jumped in and you held it down, and I didn't know where the show was going to go, and so I just appreciate and thank both of you for that.
I do have to say this, to take the Beyonce Destiny's Child analogy. When Destiny's Child broke up, I was convinced that Kelly and Michelle had to be upset. Like, you have to be mad until this happened, and I realized I'm not upset. Damage wasn't upset. We were so happy for you. Like, none of us was like, oh, damn, Jason. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things of when you really do care about someone and something makes sense for them, it doesn't feel like an ending, it just feels like a beginning. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know you had a moment where I could tell you were carrying some guilt, like, how do I tell them? Look at the, because we went to lunch and we were looking into your faces, like hey, Jason.
You don't want to say it's over.
And then we left lunch and said, I think he was going to tell us he's ending the show, and he looked into our beautiful faces and chickened out. So we knew that it was time and that you just loved us so much you couldn't say it.
Well, even on Easter, I was like, oh, just eat the food, anime. Because, first of all, I don't like saying goodbye, and this really isn't goodbye. And it's funny when we say the Destiny's Child analogy because I could see that moment being, for years I was like, Beyonce don't care about Kelly and Michelle. But you really do. It's just, there's so many moving parts of what's happening in my life right now. And I was suffering from, what do you call it, burnout. Because I hadn't had a break. I'm going on all cylinders all the time. And then I felt like I hadn't really enjoyed the process. Like, we had a nationally syndicated radio show, which I don't know, all of y'all remember that, but we were nationally syndicated. We started in 52 markets. We grew to 72 markets. It wasn't the best deal, but we did it to prove our concept. We did it, and we thought that proof would turn into something else with iHeart, and it didn't. And we decided to leave, but we did that. We did our tour, went to all the cities, we went to your hometown. We were able to do things that I think other self-made brands weren't able to do. We had a show on Fox Soul, and that had a good run, and we did whatever we wanted to do, And I think just the level of freedom and the example of what we built was amazing. I just feel like I had the burnout, and I had to call Charlamagne because I was like, yo, I'm experiencing something I've never experienced. I've never felt depressed and uninspired, and just like, I felt like it was really consuming me. And I checked in and figured I hadn't had a break for a while. So I'm like, yo, I want to take a couple months to just breathe and not have the demand of booking a show or showing up and filming, or I didn't even get dressed today. I just threw on whatever was in my closet that it wasn't too wrinkled.
That happened to be Balenciaga. Okay, honey. Like I don't know. I didn't have anything to wear, so I just threw on this two-piece Balenciaga outfit.
These pajama-looking clothes, they're very comfortable. No, I felt burnout, and it was kind of scary because there were days I was asking myself, like, do I still want to do this anymore?
I sent you a meme. The meme was a list of all the things of burnout, and Jason was every single thing on the meme.
It really was.
You were everything on that list. So yeah. And the thing about burnout too is when people love you, they care that you're burning out and they want you to get better. When people are using you, they want you to do whatever you need to do to keep going. So I think part of this is we actually care about you, and you're burnt out Jason keeping the show on for another season wouldn't make us feel good. You know what I mean? So I think the audience needs to recognize that it's rare, but there are times in this city where you can actually meet people who actually want you to win too.
Yeah, and it's just time for evolution. I know when I first joined the show, I knew how the show was looked at from the outside looking in, where it's like, it's just this ratchet show and they do a bunch of crazy things. And it was a little bit like that, right? And then we seen a moment where
You missed the episode where I called Damage and I said, we booking somebody who's gonna come in and play with some dildos.
He was like, absolutely not.
Jason got mad at me too. He was pissed. I'm like, bro, I don't have to be at that episode. I don't have to be there.
No, we had a whole meeting about, so you got an issue coming to a show where they got some dildos? He's like, listen, I'm not gonna be on a show with a man playing with dildos.
With a bunch of dicks in front of me.
Why? To see why I had to be there.
You know, it really set the course for like understanding the platform and the reach and like the obligation to evolve a little past dildos. Like, you know, and I think we did a good job.
No, but it was a moment where everything happened during the protests during COVID, where our show quickly turned into an outlet for people to get their voices heard and for us to address some really serious conversations, and it showed how important it is to have Black-owned media outlets, because we didn't have anyone controlling our narrative. And so quick it's like, oh, this is this kind of show. But in the moments where Black people needed us, we were there front and center, interviews every week that matter, having real detailed conversations that we didn't have to worry about being edited or being taken a certain way because it was coming from the people it affected. So I feel like this show was so powerful on so many different levels. It was entertaining, but also very insightful, and also helped a lot of people during that time.
Yeah, no, it did.
I also think as a woman too, it was interesting coming into this space with two men and how open you guys were to learn about things from a woman's perspective. Because I feel like there's different kinds of women in this industry. There are those who just want to look cute and like be liked, and there are those who want to educate and elevate, right? And I would like to think that I'm the latter group.
Where you going with that?
I know I'm saying I'm the latter group. I want to educate and elevate. And part of elevation is, what does Pharrell always say? The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. And I love that people watched us work through hot topics and evolve and grow with each other on those topics, which is why, Jason, I even sent you a message. When I see you in other shows and you're educating women on how to be less misogynistic, I'm like, is that Jason Lee? Is that you? Like, what?
Oh, you're talking about the Angela Yee episode.
I was so proud of you. I literally started clapping. I love people seeing that men and women can talk through topics together and identify their own blind spots and like work through like a common happy ground, because gender wars are so big right now. I think there's not enough of that. So I love our conversation.
But I'll give you credit for helping me with that too, because when we started the show, you know, we have cameras, we have the lights, and we have the little microphones. We ain't thinking there's people watching. I actually used to get surprised when people were like, y'all can't believe you said that. I'm like, shit, I can't believe I said it either. But you know, you know, in our conversations and just you being on the show, you know, you've reminded me of the obligation of using this platform to really make sense of what we're doing, right? And I think like, I didn't really understand the disconnect between me and women with the show when I was saying all the things I was saying, because I was just saying shit.
You had no idea.
I was just saying shit. I'm like, why they mad? You know, why they mad? But then when I started realizing like 70% of the people who show up for me are women. Most of them are Black women. You know, people who buy advertising in my businesses are small Black businesses and Black brands and Black artists. And when I think about, you know, the impact and the amount of people that we're reaching on a daily basis. You know, yesterday we posted a video and I saw like 65,000 or something views in like 10 minutes. That's 65,000 people or 65,000 views of a video that we posted. So if we're gonna get into 65,000 minds, what are we actually doing? What are we saying? And in a world where people are pulling up to grocery stores and killing everybody Black, we have a responsibility. And so when I'm in spaces now and I hear something, I'm like, my audience, even though it's not my house, I need to represent my audience wherever I'm at.
That's beautiful.
And, you know, sometimes I'm ratchet too, because Drink Champs was a good. That was a good show for me, because I was able to get off what I felt that day, but still stay on brand. You know,
duality is a thing, and I think a lot of people found it harder to pigeonhole you when they saw you showing up for those conversations in that way. I think a lot of people they can pigeonhole all three of us as the straight dad, and then, you know, the pansexual, like, newsy one, and Jason Lee doing the razzle dazzle. But, like, a lot of times when we talk, we have more in common than we have dissimilar. And I think the audience needs to see that more. There's a healing in that they don't really recognize is happening in the middle of all the entertainment that's happening.
No, I think it's an important dynamic, because also when I first started, I know how people were very afraid that you're gonna be on a show with Jason Lee. You know he's gay, right? And I'm like, so? But that's how I felt. And I feel like doing this show, for so many people, I helped them understand that it doesn't matter. And it's so crazy that at this point in time, you still have to have these conversations like, you know, that doesn't matter, right? What this person does has nothing to do with you. And there's been so many people that have actually reached out to me in private trying to ask questions on how to navigate certain spaces and environments where I'm like, just do you and let them do them. But I don't understand. I don't want to come off as, I'm like, well, you're not, right? So why does it matter so much? So I feel like this dynamic was so impactful on a different level, because I haven't seen a dynamic like this on any media platform.
Never seen it,
well, no, and I also said, well, you know, you're the first straight guy we've had host the show.
Wait a minute.
And I think that, I mean, allegedly. I think that it's so crazy because, my sexuality has never been an issue among the group. And, you know, being able to share a space where we have wild conversations. Some of the funniest moments is Damage's reaction when I say some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
What is this?
And it's genuine, like, dumbfounded, like, what just happened?
I just crossed the line, but we just gonna keep on rolling. You know, but, you know, I think it's that, but see, I think, again, understand our impact. When you show up in spaces like that and you can coexist, right? It shows inclusion is important. It shows that we all are not a monolith. Like, we're different types of people. We can coexist. We can share experiences and conversations that doesn't make us teeter on what our position is in life. You know, and I think it's the extreme confidence in who you are as a man. And I think that, you know, when you look at what's happening in the world with people being uncomfortable with gay people or gay conversations or trans, this or that, you know, just existing, just be. Like, if they're not disrespecting your personal space or your personal position on things, it's okay to let them live out their best gay life. And on this show, I've been gay.
It costs you nothing to honor somebody's truth. And also, people didn't know what pansexual was. So I came on the show. I got a pan who now? So I feel like I have to do a lot of education around that.
But I just feel like as black people, we need to be united more than divided. So if we find little bits and pieces to be separated, it's just silly anyway, because we need each other. So it doesn't matter what you do in your personal time or what you talk about, because it has nothing to do with me. And I feel like we have to normalize that more. And I feel like this show is a great platform to show that we can all sit down, different points of views, different walks of life, and you can still see all the common traits that we have. Like
common traits, but also not, because black folks do have a tendency to tolerate you rather than accept you, right?
No, that's true.
And so
too.
one thing I will say that we do is we don't just tolerate each other, we actually accept and even celebrate each other. And that's different because, Jason, the way you got us was, this wasn't something like we went on Craigslist or we went on American Idol, like a boy band. We actually had chemistry with you as human beings, completely separate from the show.
I hired you because Melissa didn't like you. I mean,
that's not why you hired me. The real
let the streets tell it.
No, the funny thing is, Jason, I had lived in a
and I hired you because the Geo Army just hated you so much.
He's trolling y'all one last time. And the funny thing is, I remember Jason showed up to my house. I was on the 5th floor. There was an elevator, but for some reason, my PA at the day didn't tell Jason there was an elevator.
And my ass was 323 pounds.
So him and Ariella walked up 3 flights of stairs, and you gave me
Talk about commitment.
I was shocked. And you gave me a list of things that we were not going to talk about that I was going to respect. And we were doing Humanize. We were only on episode like 5, right? We didn't know the pandemic was going to happen 3 days later.
Yeah.
So Jason
was it 3 days after that?
Literally, you were the last person I interviewed before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And so we sit down on the couch, and I'm thinking, I have 45 minutes with Jason Lee. I have to make it work. I have a list that I'm not going to touch. Let's go. We were there for 4 hours kikiing.
Wait, did I send you a list of what I didn't want to talk about?
And we talked about everything on the list. I had to stop you like, Jason, that's on your list. You were like, I'm having fun, fuck it, let's go. And it was 4 hours of us just talking as people.
But that was one of the first interviews I did where somebody was interviewing me. Like, it was weird. Like, what the fuck, what you want to talk to me about? But that's when I came out with my book, God Must Have Forgotten About Me.
It was a good book, too.
But that was the moment I knew. I was like, yo, she's fucking talented. And I didn't know, of course, that, you know, my situation was going to unfold the way that it did or whatever. But that's why when I had that opening, you know, I listened to the audience. The audience wanted somebody who was genuinely smart, genuinely represented them. That you know we're in Hollywood, and sometimes we feel like, you know, we have to have a reporter or have you know, a model or have an influencer or have somebody with 1 million followers. It's like, no, you got to have somebody that can roll up their sleeves and get in the dirt, but also come with class and intelligence, and I feel like you fit that. The Humanize interview is one of my favorite. I wish more of you would watch it, because it was the first time I felt like somebody saw me more than just, I think you called me a tree. You said,
y'all can watch it now.
You said you wanted people to know that I wasn't just an emotionless tree or something like that. Because I really feel like people thought that he's just so wild and crazy and don't care.
You were so kind that day, though. You
but
were
I think
not
that's
at all.
the crazy part about me meeting you, because I didn't meet you off the show. I didn't see you on the show I met you in person. Like, we would go and get hookah all the
just
time.
hanging out
and just talk. So when I did see you on the show, I was like, oh, they don't know. Like, of course it's you. I'm not going to act like that's not you, but it's like,
Hookah Jason's different.
Jason is different. It's not like there's two different.
Yeah.
It's not, and people have to understand that about all of us. Like, there's going to be a certain point where we're going to entertain and have a good time. It's like jokes. When you're with your friends, you're going to talk. But this is not. I try to tell this to people all the time. Like, who you see as Jason's not just one person. You're not just one person.
I always say there's a persona, right? Like, I always say that there's the DJ Damage that everybody expects, and then there's Abdul that I talk to. Like, this is not DJ Damage. It's a regular person. There's the Jason Lee that everybody sees. But when I talk to you, I always see the boy in the book, because he and I had a similar childhood, and I was like, Jason, I see you as a person. And even down to us both liking chocolate milk when we were stressed as kids, like, I saw you as a person, and when you called and said, do you want to be on the show, I made it a point to say,
I like chocolate.
See, we all like chocolate milk. We should really be the chocolate milk gang. I even said to you, I was like, Jason, I'm only doing the show because I like you. Because I know it's supposed to be a look, but if I hadn't liked you that day, I would have said no, because it actually felt good to talk to you. So I think folks need to recognize that real chemistry, you can't fake that shit.
I like chocolate.
I think it goes
You don't
deeper
like
too.
chocolate
I think when you think about black people in general, we're not the sum of one experience. You know what I mean? And I won't lie. You know, this show also started becoming like very Oprah-esque, and Oprah, we love you somewhat. You know what I mean? Like, you've been a great contribution to the world of media, but like, no, I want to turn it up a little bit. You know, I like that energy. But I also like having a voice, and I feel like sometimes the antics distracted people from the messages.
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of times where like things would happen, I was like, see, I told you. See, I told you. Funny story, this literally just happened, I gotta say this. So I was in Miami a couple weeks ago, I think. Yeah, a couple weeks. And so I'm in the club, I had been drinking, I had been hanging out. I was outside like all day. So I go to Liv, and I see my jeweler. I'm like, yo, I'm about to go holler at my jeweler real quick. So I walk over, and he's like, get up here. So I stand up on the table, I'm talking to him. Liv is going crazy. And I look down, and LeBron James is standing at the table. It's LeBron's table, right?
Oh, wow.
So there's been this long-standing thing where, you know, Tristan Thompson was on the team with LeBron, and LeBron has wanted to stay away from me, you know, like keep him away from me, whatever. And so I heard that he, you know, was a little uncomfortable with me or whatever. So I see his friend who's on the show. Mind you, I want to be on the show. I think it's called The Shop, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be on the show. So I see LeBron, and I see his friend. His friend is like, you know, having a good time, and he turns and he sees me. And it was like a ghost, like he like the Grim Reaper was at the table, and he was like, oh my God. And then he's tapping LeBron, and then he's whispering LeBron, and LeBron's like, what? And then LeBron does this, right? And he sees me, and I could see his face, and I got off and I left. And then I got to my table, me and my security walked all the way back to my table, and I go, you know what? Fuck that, I'm changing this being afraid of Jason or narrative of Jason. I went right back to the table, I said, excuse me. And the guy turned around, he said, look, we're terrified of you. And I said, and we're gonna change that, because I'm an ally. Like, I love you, I love the show.
An ally to LeBron.
He texts Bron. And LeBron turned around.
We're used to going on Tristan.
Child.
But I had forgot the
An ally.
An ally.
So I'm like, LeBron, come here. LeBron came over. I'm like, listen, I'm an ally. We cool. And he gave me the biggest hug. It was like a hug of relief. Like, oh, all he had to do is rock me.
No, he was LeBron James rock.
But you know, when I think about like the evolution of where I'm going and where this show's going, I don't like that feeling. I don't want people to be afraid of me. I want people to respect my opinions, respect that I'm fearless, and give it to them, giving it to them straight. No pun intended. But I don't want people to be afraid of me. And I think, like, when I started the show, it was like pow pow. It was
pew pew pew
some
pew.
of the, and the crazy part is you're always trying to balance, like, the audience really loves that, but that's not going to let me grow.
Yeah.
And so we'll see in the comments, fans will say, "Oh, well, this show is not what it used to be." We're not all what we used to be. It's called evolution, growing.
Yeah, it's called growth. It's so funny. The two things that I've learned from you guys, because I was just thinking about this. From Damage, I've learned to pick my battles. I was like, oh, sometimes I could just like hush and stare. Like I always have to give a hot take on everything, right? So I learned to pull back a little and like to figure out when it makes sense to speak and when not. From you, it's so funny. I was in a room the other day and a bunch of really important people were in the room. So, the commissioner was there and he was like, Jason Lee wrote a check for $25,000 for this organization. Like,
what who said that? They didn't have any notes.
Yeah, you wrote a check. You wrote a big old check for an event. Jason, did you reach for your wallet?
No, it was 30,000.
Oh, it was 30,000. Yeah, and they were like, yeah, Jason Lee wrote a big old check. And then somebody, I'm not gonna say who, was like, what exactly makes Jason Lee special? And
somebody said that about me.
I squared up. I'm not gonna be like, because you know I'm loyal. The one thing about Taurus is we're very loyal. There've been times you be like, Blue, stand down, right? So I squared up, and then the Damage inside said, Blue, this is not the time to be swinging in front of the commissioner or whatnot. And I said, well, I would tell you this, guys. If all of us walked into a room and got 5 phone numbers, by the end of the week, Jason Lee would be the only person who would have used all 5 of them to get a business deal from everybody and leverage it. So I need you to know, never in my life have I seen anybody like, if you let him in the room, my G, he's doing something with it. And I used to not be like that. Because of you, I now walk into rooms like, no, I'm the shit. I need to leverage this opportunity. And that's a lesson that a lot of people could learn from that they don't give you credit for.
You know, we're conditioned to believe that we're less than. Yeah. I don't feel like there's anybody who's, bigger than me or, or bigger than you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the thing about it, I was thinking about this on the way over because everybody that watches the show knows I'm a professional name dropper, so I'm about to do it right now. I called Rihanna yesterday, because she had her baby. Mm-hmm. And not gonna get into the conversation, but I'm talking to her, and then Madonna calls, and she's like, "Come to dinner." I'm like, "Okay." Damn. But you know what I realized in those moments? They're us. Like, we're all the same. People. Yeah. Nobody's better than. Nobody has to be more special than. When you have more, you should do more. Yeah. Because I do have more now, that $30,000 I gave was to 5 kids who, while I was sitting there waiting for my award, were coming up there and excited about receiving a $1,000 scholarship. And I'm thinking, what is no shade, but like, what is $1,000 going to do? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Let me give them a little bit more.
Books.
Yeah. So I gave them $5,000 each, and it felt really good to do it.
And it made an impact because it came up in the conversation.
But look at the hate, though, and this is the thing that's crazy,
let's not
right?
talk about the hate.
It was one person in the corner.
I only say that because a lot of us don't do because we're afraid of judgment or people saying, "Oh, well, what are the intentions?" The intentions are what they are, and people may have different intentions, but I always find it interesting that no matter how positive you are, no matter what your intentions are, somebody's gonna always have something to say, but you can't let that distract you.
When you're good to folks, the folks who know you in the room will always have your back even when you're not there. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of being good to folks is you never know who's speaking highly of you in rooms that you're not in. Yeah. And that's the beauty of how you do business. Like, we have your back. And somebody thought, Damage even told you, people like Jason Lee, and he was like, yes, Jason Lee, and you good? And I think people are shocked because
boy.
they see Damage as like this solid, straight guy, and me as this straight shooting, like smart girl. And seeing people like us defend you, they're like, maybe we did have him wrong. And I love that people are seeing your heart more.
Oh, no. When I got a little too tipsy in Miami, that's when I knew Damage had my back because he cleared the whole room. The next day, they were like, that guy is crazy. He was making sure you were good. He told all of them, I don't know none of you and don't care about who any of you are.
They kept telling me they was with people.
The Damage is salty.
I'm like,
he's the spicy one. Jim, they think me and you are spicy. Damage is spicier than both of us.
The Damage will pop off. When that pop off happens, you just gotta go. Okay.
Yeah, y'all can get fooled by the show if you want, but me and Jason are a lot more docile than DJ Damage.
I'm cool. I would say one thing.
Time not to be cool.
I learned about the situation in general, and I think this is impactful for anybody. You have to bet on yourself, and I think working at so many different companies and jumping from companies to companies, and then actually working with somebody that built their own platform, it really teaches you like, yo, if you want to do anything in life, you have to bet on yourself. And you have to go all in. And that's what you did with Hollywood Unlocked. I wasn't there from the very beginning, but I was there some time ago. And just to watch how it kept growing, and the commitment. And that's the stuff people don't see also. They see you talk about topics and things on social media, talk about things on a podcast, but they're not ever seeing the business acumen and the dedication to your dream. And if anybody, I don't care who you are, can be inspired by that, I'm inspired by that. To see you take a platform and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's becoming an agency, it's become a studio. It's like, if you're not motivated by that, you're really a true hater, because this is all one person's dream, and it's helping other people with their dreams. Help me with my dream. I'm sure it helped you with your dream. And I think it's the most beautiful thing to see as a black man. It's like, dog, you can really do it. This man is here in LA. We're out here. We're in the penthouse floor.
Child, it's nice.
We're in the biggest penthouse.
Yeah, it's a nice studio, y'all.
You got to bet on yourself. So if you really have a dream and you for real about it, like, I'm not going to believe you, because I've seen somebody go 145% into what they wanted to do. So,
well, I will say, and the crazy part is, I don't even remember all the moments of it growing. You know what I mean? Because I've been so in it. The show, the deadlines, the this, the that. And I'm not going to complain because of that dedication, that hard work, and that drive. I was able to build what I was able to build in less than 10 years. You know what I mean? So like, we're only into our 7th year and still growing.
Amazing.
But and I really feel in many ways that we're still just getting started. Like, there's the other things evolving, extensions, opportunities that I'm taking advantage of. And I really love that now other storytellers, they're starting to tell the story. You know, I posted on Facebook and Instagram from foster care to Forbes, and I almost got really emotional because I was thinking, you know, recently Tiffany Haddish and I went back to my hometown where this young girl got stabbed and killed right at my high school. I was really moved to just go there and be with the city and be with these kids, and we were able to get all 1,400 kids out, and I bought everybody pizza, because I remember how we loved a pizza day. We loved the chocolate milk day, you know, and just little things that we can do to get back to school. We brought the family of the young girl out. Tiffany was able to talk to the kids and stuff. And then we went to my old group home, Children's Home in Stockton, and we stood in the doorway of the room that I was in when I was there.
That would have been emotional.
It's emotional thinking about it right now, because standing there, the door is much smaller than it was when I was 10 years old. You know, the place is expanded. The people were excited to see me there. I was a success story. I was the one that made it. And when I think about all the opportunities that I don't get in Hollywood sometimes, and this is the part that I think will make me emotional, because it's not because I'm not talented, it's because I'm black. And that to me bothers me. It bothers me that I think when people are like, oh, he's on his pro-black shit now. Now when I realize that when you're black, you have especially when you're a black owner, you have a platform, you have an obligation to be louder, because there's so many people working in concert to silence you. And even the pop out with Wendy during the Met Gala, that was intentional. That was an intentional flex, because the show said, you're not big enough to host. Even with Tiffany Haddish on Monday, Cardi B on Tuesday, Mariah Carey on Wednesday, so-and-so, you're not big enough. And when I heard that, I was like, you know what, motherfucker, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna build a show better than yours. I'm gonna make sure I get bigger guests than yours. I'm gonna make sure that I reach audiences that you can't reach. I'm not gonna just do a show for white women in middle America, although I do want you to watch too.
Please watch, Karen.
You know, I'm building a show that everybody can enjoy, and just for an hour a week, just escape and have a good time and talk and hear from people that other people can't get right now. And I want to say one more thing, another big flex and another name drop. Last night I was sitting at home on my couch, and I'm planning the Hollywood Unlocked Impact Awards. And I pick up the phone and I said, I don't know why I'm going to do this right now, because the girl just had a baby. I'm going to call Rihanna and ask her if I can honor her at my award show. Aww. And I called her and she answered. We chit-chat a little bit. And I said, okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and I won't be mad if you say no. You can say, you ain't got to say no to my face. Just give me the contact so I can call with him. And I told her about the award, and she said, well, tell me, like, what is it for? What are you doing it for? Like, why? And I said, I want to honor you. She said, what award do you want to give me? I said, the Icon Award. And she was like, oh, really? I said, yeah. And she said, I'll show up for you. Wow. And I'm going to just say this. That there validated my belief that I was big enough for the Wendy Show. I was bigger than the Wendy Show. It's not about whether or not I'm big to somebody else or relevant to somebody else. I'm okay with what I'm doing. And as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, and those of you watching keep doing what you're doing, and you guys do what you do, if you keep going and you keep working hard enough, the validation comes in the rewards you create for yourself, not what somebody else hands you. all the denials I've been getting, all the rejections and this and that, and I don't even audition because I don't like rejection. I did one audition, got rejected, I never did another audition.
I hate auditions too.
I can't.
I hate
Because
them.
I want to be like, bitch, I ain't want this anyway. You know? If I can't get it, I'll build it myself. So if you don't want to give me what's already available, I'll go build it myself. And to build the award show in the whole conversation of, you know, black people not being awarded or getting the right awards or recognition, as a black man on an award show, that's kind of lit. And I feel like the you're not big enough thing really drove me into, for a quick moment, that burnout that I was going through, because it's like, yo, what else I got to do?
It's demoralizing. The thing that you're talking about is inclusion, right? And I've been having conversations with my friends about this all week. It's one thing to say you support somebody. It's something else to include someone. And when people include you and they call you in, that's when you feel like they really love you and support you. And the fact that you are in this space where you've included us and other people, you've fed so many people that people don't even know about, right? And now people who are even higher up in bigger stature are like, oh, we want to include him too. We want to be a part of, we want him to be in the room. And you have an ability to get in the room, crack a joke, be very disarming with your charm. I think you know what you're doing. And halfway through a key, someone gets booked. And I'm like, oh, snap, how did you just book God? And so that's one of the things that I've learned from you is when you're inclusive, people want to be there for you. And that's a really, really great skill that you can't really teach. And I always say that, you know, I talk about astrology. Leos are ruled by the heart. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much your heart rules the work that you do. It's not the mess, even though the mess is what gets the clicks. It's actually your heart.
That's what gets their attention too. But you know, thank you for that. And I'll go back to Rihanna, what she said at the end of it. And this is why I just love her so much. She said, I really love how your brand is evolving and I want to help you. Like that to me is special. And it really makes all the other people who've hated, who've blocked, who've had something negative to say, who's been circumspect, who's been judgmental or doubtful or whatever, not even matter. I also want to shout out Lonnie Love. I did see Lonnie Love recently at Kevin Hart's Netflix brunch, and we had a conversation. I've been very judgmental of Lonnie Love. I've talked shit about her, and I said to her when she gave me her number, I'm like, girl, you do know I be talking shit about you, right? She was like, I know and I don't care. Okay, cool. She said, I don't take it personal, but we were talking about the ending of The Real, which the last episode airs June 3rd.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling me about how, the show's over, whatever, and we talked about it. And the one thing that came through from the conversation was all the stuff that they've been going through behind the scenes. You know, Amanda Seales was also at this brunch. You remember they hired her? I was like, she too black for that show. What I got from her was how she didn't have full control because she didn't own it, and how much she respected me because of, she said at the award show, when you got up there and you talked about freedom and the ability to do whatever you want and say whatever you want and book whoever you want and deny whoever you don't want and just be in full control, she was like, that level of freedom we don't have in talk.
Yeah.
And when she said it, it goes back to, here I think I'm not as powerful because I'm not on TV, when the people on TV think that I'm more powerful.
Because you are, yeah.
Ownership.
Ownership is everything. There's symbols and then there's ownership. A lot of people are being leveraged as symbols and getting paid to be symbols. Being an owner is a whole different playing field.
So.
And it's not easy.
No.
And I'll say something too to all of you black people who look like me in spaces where we all don't exist and where you may be the only one at the table. And some of you I've had direct conversations with. I'm not gonna say your names. I know you're waiting with bated breath for me to say your name and you're afraid sitting up there in your little dockers. You have an obligation to you have an obligation to help. And you have to be afraid of how big my voice is getting, because the bigger and bigger it gets. Once I got that real megaphone, I'm going to do a report card, because there's so many of them that have access to budgets. Like if you have an idea, if you have an event series, or you have an HBCU tour idea, or you have a Humanize show that you want to bring to life, or a podcast that you know is going to like strike the hearts of our people and reach people in a way that haven't been reached before. If there's people in positions to put that show on, put it on. If there's people in positions with brands to invest, because that's really what it is. Everybody out here want to buy in black and invest in black. Well, if you do, put your money where your mouth is. Like giving it to the United Negro College Fund and NAAC is cute, because that's all you know where to go. But there's other people out there like us, young black entrepreneurs, who are investing in culture. And it's interesting because every single article I've done, just did Forbes, did Nylon, did I can't remember everything. I did just did Complex.
Yeah.
Everything is focused on culture. You're driving culture. You're the post of the culture. The White House calling. You're the culture. Well, if y'all see it, start investing in it, because I think them not wanting to invest is a way of hoping that it just runs dry. Like if we don't send any money over there, it's gonna go away at some point. But guess what? There's a lot of young black businesses that believe in Hollywood Unlocked and believe in me and continue to feed the company. And you know, you guys didn't come here because there was nobody else. You came here because your gift, you know, and we've been talking a lot about me and Hollywood Unlocked, but let's talk about you. You know, the selflessness, the flexibility, the ability to have open minds and conversation. You know, sometimes I come in very moody. I got my own personal shit going on. I think just the patience for understanding that there's a lot fucking going on in my life where, you know, I had to tell myself consciously one day, don't go crazy like all these other people do. Cause it will really drive you, it'll really drive you crazy. But I just appreciate just, you know, we built friendships and we didn't just show up and do a job.
This is a great moment. This chapter is over, but there will be many more chapters hopefully in this book. You know, Hollywood Unlocked has become a universe, so hopefully you will see us more in that universe, right?
Like the Marvel universe?
Yeah, the Hollywood Unlocked universe.
You know what's crazy is I already have another idea, but I'm waiting on things to come to fruition. You know, I got to be very careful before I speak things, but I had this other idea. But nah, I mean, of course, the hardest part about ending the show has not been whether or not the show is good or not. It's whether it's this, you know, like breaking this up. But just because this show is ending doesn't mean that we're not friends and we're not figuring something out. We're gonna figure it out.
Again, endings get to be beginnings if you have the right mindset. And this feels to me more like a beginning than an ending. And I think the timing is impeccable too, because we're all at a space of transition. And so everybody gets to breathe and like recalibrate and then come back with fresh ideas and fresh energy. So I love it. I think this is divine timing.
Yeah.
I love everything about how this is playing out.
Okay, so Humanize. I saw you're on episode 5 now. What are you?
No, we're on episode 27.
27.
I know.
Wait, was the episode he was just on, was that 25?
That was 26, yeah.
Okay, 26.
And the crazy thing is that it used to be like once in a while somebody would have a great conversation. We've now pivoted to weekly because there's a lot of conversations to be had. And I just love talking to people about who they are as people and their hearts. I think Johnny mentioned, he was like, you know, you talk about deep stuff, but it's so conversational. Like, that's the point. Like, deep conversations don't have to be boring and heavy. And I think we're used to either having fun or being healthy. And what I'm trying to do is make it popular and sexy to be healthy and have fun at the same time. And the funny thing is, your episode was what made me realize that this was something that had legs. Because you were really like one of my guinea pigs. You were episode 6 or 7.
No shade to Damage. It was the best show you've ever had. I actually watched the show a couple of times because I was, you know, I did go in. I remember I didn't want to talk about
a lot.
Some stuff. I do remember now because, you know, I felt like there were these things that were always chasing me, the old Jason, the Jason. But what I loved about the conversation was it really allowed a person to break down moments that, you know, people may have seen or thought or whatever and talk through it. And it made it easier to go to other shows too. But I will say, you know, now when I do other people's shows, I come in prepared a couple things. One, be really honest, but also have that pow ready if they really try me, you know, but nobody's really tried me yet. And I know it's coming at some point because people love those moments. And that's what I love about your show and even this show too, is that we don't have the gotcha moments. We ain't trying to get you, you know, disarming people, creating a space for them to speak and breathe and just be comfortable literally will give you everything you're asking for.
Yeah.
You know?
When you like, the reason why we call the show Humanize is because I realized that when you humanize everybody in the room, a good conversation is guaranteed. Because we're all just human beings doing human shit. And Damage's episode, it was so popular because I think people were really interested hearing a black man and a black woman talk about things and not necessarily always agree, but figure out a common ground without attacking each other. It's so sad that not attacking each other but having real conversation is a weird thing in this current climate. Yeah. And I think even with Hollywood Unlocked, we started getting to that place where, with the exception of that one crazy person who we'll never speak of again, Voldemort, we, for the most part, you know who Voldemort is. We, for the most part, were able to have some really provocative conversations and at the end of the show still be laughing. Yeah. Whether we agreed or not.
And we've had heated shows where we didn't take it personal afterwards, whereas on the other show,
little carryover.
We're going to be in the parking lot, you know what I mean?
You had some PTSD. Look, I remember the first time we had a debate, I remember you watching my face like, is she gonna be a bitch when this is over? I was like, hey guys, that was a great show. And you're like, oh, okay, she's normal.
Yeah, because when you're like, we don't plan this show out. We don't plot out, okay, you're gonna say this, you're gonna say that. And again, I think of I Damage's facial expression. We should do a recap show of just Damage's reaction. Some of the shit I be saying, he'd be like, what? Like, where did that even come from? But no, and then another thing I learned from you, those courses, I didn't know he was making all this money with these courses, but beyond just making the money, being able to, like, again, to whom much is given, much is required, being able to give game to people, and
it's definitely much bigger than the money. It's a very big commitment to the people, because it's a grind. It's a grind. The money was like third on the list of the obligations, that come like, thank God, but honestly, especially somebody in your position, to have so much information to give and to give it to people that are really dedicated to wanting to do it. It's like when you see those students grow and do something, like, you just feel so good. And there's so many people that have been in my courses that have reached out to me like, I wouldn't have got this opportunity if it wasn't for your course, or I would have never moved to LA if it wasn't for your course. So that's what it's all about, man.
Shout out the courses.
One of his
Are the courses still
mentees.
available?
Yeah, it's still available.
What's the courses?
Yeah, legendarymediacourse.com or legendarymediagroup.com. Make sure you check it out.
Yeah.
One of his mentees moved to LA and became my assistant for a year.
Really?
So that's how much the course is. And now he's doing his own podcast. So he like, that's what I'm telling you, like, we get to feed each other in so many ways that I don't think people really realize when they watch the show.
Yeah. Well, again, now I'm in the heart of my courses, and we're done. We started filming them now, and we built the funnel, and all that process is exciting. And I do feel the amount of work coming with it, because it's like, it's not just you drop your course. It's like, it's a movement that's getting ready to happen, and I'm getting excited about that. But I've run into your mentees all the time too. I remember when you came to DJ Damage's course. I'm like, yeah, I remember. But that's great though, to see that somebody took the course, becomes an assistant, gets out here, starts their own podcast, because that's what you create the course for.
Exactly.
And then years later, they'll be somewhere like me, thanking the way I thank Dana, relentlessly for the inspiration
I
she gave me.
that.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna recruit you guys. You guys, since we're talking about this, for the emotional intelligence stuff, I know you keep on acting like you're not emotionally intelligent. I keep telling you.
Well, what does that even mean? Like,
emotional intelligence means the ability to see yourself clearly in the room and to be able to leverage opportunities to get where you're going. So it doesn't mean that you have to be the most moralistic person. It just means you're self-aware enough to know how you show up in the room.
Okay, well, I'm emotionally intelligent enough to know that this show is over. And I'm also humanized enough to say that I appreciate all of you for showing up for us for the last 6 years.
Thank you.
6 years is a long, dedicated time. I was online the other day, and this woman came in, April, I think your name was, on Clubhouse, and you ran down to me the very, very first episode, and then gave me episodes every year that you've watched. You've watched every single episode. And so it's not an easy decision, because of people like you, but I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much, and stay tuned to everything that the three of us are doing. And you're going to see us together again at some point.
Yes.
But we got the emotional intelligence to say you're not going to see us no more right now. Peace.
Although we're sad to see the end of Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee Uncensored, we couldn't let you go without recapping the hottest moments from the show. 6 years ago, we debuted our first show, and since then, we've had interviews with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. We've also discussed serious matters like politics, domestic violence, and sexual abuse. And we've had some fun and interesting moments with our guests, like interview with professional head Dr. Precia. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane and look at a few clips of our biggest celebrity sit-downs.
Like the How You Doings come from, after 11 years being on TV, the 11th season starts, September 16th. But the How You Doings, honestly,
come from everywhere.
It used to be, Melissa, a stereotype, a black woman. Now it's everybody.
Yeah.
And
white people love you.
Indian
Everybody
people,
loves you.
green people,
Everybody loves
Asian
you.
people. I get that. How you doing? Men, women, straight, gay, trans, whatever. Everything.
When I first met you, we all went to Miami on vacation. I will never forget. Some of my friends, they may have 2-3 condoms in case they got to hit something off on the way home. But you had the biggest Ziploc bag full of condoms.
Safe sex.
Yeah, they were.
We should save, yes.
And so they were all gold. So I'm just wondering, like, for the people who, now I'm not talking about golden showers. Shout out to R. Kelly, but how do the women watching who want to be a part of the Gold Star family, how do they?
What are you attracted to?
Man, I'm attracted to just winning in life.
But as far as what Jason talking about with women, he going over my head.
But
So how about this?
but
How about
here's-
a young man like me, if I wanted to start the gold medal family, what are some
Yeah,
things?
give him some tips.
What's some things I should look out? How should I maneuver in that space?
Well, one thing you can say to a female that I saw him say is, if you just give me 1% of your trust, I'll earn the other 99%. That was crazy.
Oh my God, you got
Man.
ooh.
Oh, so give me the game.
You
Give
got
me the game.
game.
Now,
You
Floyd,
got
give me the game.
I'm just saying. I mean, you can say stuff like
His eyes soften whenever he looks at me. Like he has game.
You can say that. You can say stuff like, "I ain't trying to be your man. I'm trying to be your sponsor." I mean, it's just different things.
Well, now,
But then,
You all came to Puffy's house, and when you got there, I said to her earlier on the show when we opened that you were different than you are right now. You're turned on. You're Cardi B right now, but when you got there, you were really low key. I said, "Hey, Queen Cardi," you're like, "Nah, I'm not the queen." The thing I love about you is you just come off very humble, and I like that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Some things I'm a little cocky on, you know what I'm saying?
So what are you cocky about? The music?
Sucking dick.
What makes you because we've actually had an oral doctor here on the show teaching people how to suck dick.
And she blew a cucumber.
She did.
Went
Yes.
viral.
I'll
Was
send you the
tanning.
link.
I want to
Yeah?
be that cucumber so goddamn bad.
I don't know where it is. Niggas just told me, niggas just tell me all the time. And it's like, damn, I don't know where it is. But I ain't gonna tell y'all because I ain't gonna tell y'all my secrets. Why would I want to tell people my secrets?
It might
Then
have-
they're gonna be good like me.
It might have.
Wait, so were you ever intimidated though? Because
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I always knew I was nice, son. I knew I had something special, and I knew with Biggie like being my coach, I knew that I was gonna be great. When I knew I was real good.
you listen.
I listened to. He used to call me a lieutenant. I don't know if you look on like some of the albums and if you listen, says lieutenant in some of the songs and stuff. He's talking about me, and he always called me a lieutenant because he said he could tell me something and I would put it into motion perfectly. He already knew that I had what it took to be. You know, when Biggie passed, it could have been any one of us who had to be the one. You know.
But that era, I remember watching that on television and seeing you and Mary and Dana and just people like it was, because you look at you and everybody watches looking at you as just the icon, the figure. Like you're not a real person. I don't know how to explain that.
No, people
How do you explain that?
People dress as her for Halloween. The purple.
That is such an homage. That's so.
She got Diana Ross to pat her titty
I
on
know.
television.
Okay.
But I just say,
Man, those were some big moments in HU's history, and people are still talking about them to this day. Now, outside of the TV and spill, we also address some more serious matters. As you know, Hollywood Unlocked founder Jason Lee created the platform to help celebrities share their truths and regain control of their narratives tarnished by the media. We've also shared political knowledge, and we welcome politicians like Reverend Al Sharpton, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and Karen Bass. And recently, Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice Cullors, we took a stance against domestic violence and sexual abuse, and we sat down with survivors. Let's take a look at a few moments when we shared our platform to give survivors a voice.
I have no reason to lie on anybody because this shit is about my truth. But I'm asking, why the fuck you teaching a 5 or 6 year old how to jack off? Now that I'm older, now I'm a 35-year-old man, I'm saying, okay, they were probably priming me. Okay, now they're coming back over to pick me up a little bit more often. And before I know it, my brother's doing shit to me. Before I know it, I'm at house. So I think my stepfather kind of was curious about what was really, what MO was, to each his own. I mean, I'm not here to, nor do I want my legacy to be about my cousin. There's all kind of fucked up people in the family. People do all kind of fucked up shit.
So you left while you were pregnant?
Yeah, I filed for divorce in April, and Knight was born in July.
Wow. So what was an intense low? Like what was the lowest point in your marriage?
We had a lot. I mean, honestly, like if I were to really tell the stories, I couldn't write. It was that crazy. Like it was dark. It was really dark. Like, there was a lot of drinking. There was a lot of just mental and physical abuse. And it just got to the point where I think for me, God is so good because being pregnant, I probably would have stayed longer had I not been pregnant. Because I really did love him, and because we were married, we weren't dating, we were married. Like, this was my person.
Okay.
He didn't get there to maybe like 30 or 45 minutes afterwards.
So the fight was completely over?
Yeah.
And everything was calm?
Yeah.
So then he pulls up, and then what happens?
He stomps up the steps. Where that bitch at? Where that bitch at? Bitch, I'll kill you. I'm talking with a gun. Bitch, I'll kill you. And he takes the gun, puts the gun in my head. Bitch, I'll kill you. Bitch, I'll kill you.
Wait, the gun touched your head?
Yeah. I don't know if you ever been in those kind of scenarios, you know, but
No,
like,
not like that.
But like at the, you sound like a person just kind of talking themselves into kind of doing it. Like, bro, for real, like I'm telling, like if you was gonna do that, you should have used it.
Man, those were some tough stories to hear, but also empowering moments that need to be had, and we're happy we were able to help share these truths. Now, HU also provided safe sex knowledge for its audience, especially when we had professional head doctor Pre-Show on the show. Things went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Let me say,
Gio, get a hold of yourself.
Let me say,
But I can go again. Though.
No, it's
wait.
not.
Well, no, you're fine. Let me just say that.
We
You
gonna
can turn
edit
the
this
music
real
back up now.
Turn the music back up.
Let me just say, she is the head doctor.
Yes.
Cause I ain't seen it. I mean, this is what I learned from it. Cause I was eating my cucumber. Cause I ain't doing all that.
What did you learn, Jason?
I learned that thou shalt not give up.
It's you have to be resilient, and you see my eyes are watering.
You were not playing.
Man, we don't call the show Uncensored for no reason. I hope y'all took some notes, all right? Now, things also got a little reckless when we invited Jeffree Star's boyfriend, Andre Marhold, on the show. Here's a refresher.
Before you even met him, before you saw the tracks, what attracted you to a man when you were only with women?
Personality. If you got a good character, you might be able to get this dick.
But that didn't surprise you that you were attracted to a man if you had never been attracted to a woman before?
No.
I mean, you play basketball. You're in the locker room with a bunch of naked basketball players. You were never curious?
No, and then one of my teammates, he actually playing in the NBA. His name TJ McConnell. I don't mean to call him out, but that nigga dick was so small. He was pissing on his balls. So it's just like, and my dick was always bigger and I always had the best body, so I didn't really care about them. Honestly.
Let me just say for the record, the last time this kind of thing was said on my show, I got death threats, so I don't represent anything that he just said. I don't know who TJ McConnell is, allegedly.
He played for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's a point guard. He got drafted 2 years ago.
How small is it?
2 to 3 inches. Tops. Like, that nigga was jacking off like this.
Okay, so we've talked about micropenises on the show. I have a phobia of a micropenis. I don't want to go there.
TJ dick is like, I swear you no lie, this pinky might be bigger, bro. Like, yo, when that nigga used to cuddle with a bitch, because I was his roommate, yo, when a bitch try to put her ass on him, that nigga, he'll go like this. Bro, he was hiding the fuck out of little ass dick. He was pissing all on his balls. I'm trying to tell you, that shit crazy. I love TJ, but guess what? He ain't never passed me the ball, so fuck that. He the point guard. Hey, your dick is small. Shit, fuck that. I don't know how he got drafted with that dick. I'm trying to say. I'm just hating. Like, his dick small. I'm just trying to say. If my dick was that small, I'd have got drafted too, because I'd have did a lot of less fucking. But I need to say some good stuff about TJ.
Okay, go ahead. What would you like to say?
His dick size was the opposite of his playing ability.
I don't know. What's his name? TJ what?
TJ McConnell.
Man, we had some wild times on Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee Uncensored. We thank you all for joining us on this wild ride, and we hope you stick around to see what's next to come. You know Jason Lee's always up to something, so be sure you don't miss out on any updates, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media. This is DJ Damage signing off. Peace.
All right, look, that was a great show, and make sure you keep coming back because we got all types of amazing interviews and topics that are going to make you go crazy.
That's right. That means like, subscribe, do everything you need to do to make sure you stay up to date with what we got going on.
And ladies, stay tuned in because you know I have your back.
And listen, make sure that you're commenting below because even though I say I don't read it on the show, that's all I do when it's over. Peace.